this stand up to racism? Oh, fantastic. Hello, gents. How are we?
Hi.
David, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Hi, Johnny.
Nice to meet you. Steve, a pleasure, guys. Absolute pleasure.
Are you coming from the email? For the...
Yeah, no, it was on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Excellent, right.
Fantastic. Well, we've only just started.
Yeah, just started. So,
Is this like a Labour sort of group? Is
it's
it
Stand Up
Diane
to
Roberts?
Racism. Stand Up to Racism. She's the national president.
Right, fantastic.
And it's all parties.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So, there's, you know, at our last conference, we had a conference last Saturday. There was something like the
Oh, so I was going to come. I was just I was dying to because there's a few things. Yeah.
So there's from the SNP, Anna Starr from the Labour Party, the trade unions, there was an RMT guy, there was a Scottish organiser, there was Unison, Scottish organiser.
Yeah, well, I looked great.
It was great. It was a good thing.
Ah.
So it's a broad thing, and it's basically anti-racism. It's the one thing that brings everybody together, one political party. So, I mean, and so the agenda we've got, there's two things. There's one is leaflet. This is the next sort of big thing that's Stand Up to Racism after the conference. I mean, there's always local things going on, but this is the big national thing. So we're just looking at what we can do to build that. And the other thing then was looking at how we build in Edinburgh. So those are the two key areas. So I was just running through, this was a sort of proposal.
Right.
So it's after the successful conference on Saturday, let's take advantage of the momentum to build that thing. Right? So some things we could do. So number one is contact the supporters group, and you are one of them.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So it's basically to let people know what happened at the conference. So a report will be coming out on that, and use that as a springboard for building this march. Just explain this march.
Yeah.
Is it 27 different countries it's taken place?
Something like that.
It's the UN Day Against Racism.
Right.
United Nations Day Against Racism.
Yeah.
And it started off with 3 or 4 countries. There was Greece, there was Britain, I think, where else was there? But now it's 27 countries. I mean, it's gone worldwide. So there'll be a march.
So this was the UN that set this up, basically.
Yeah.
So is the UN? So I'm a bit confused because it is
So
like.
remember, it's the date that was set by the United Nations to remember the victims of Sharpeville in South Africa.
Ah.
When they were killed, but it's used as just a point in the calendar to raise the whole issue of opposing racism.
Yeah.
Right.
And so in Britain there's a march in London, there's a march in Glasgow, and there's a march in Cardiff.
Right.
So this is our one.
Right.
It's the nearest.
Right.
So that's what we're discussing how to build for. So first thing we discussed was, first of all, letting everybody know at the conference. Second thing was having blocks on the march, which we haven't done before. We just have everybody in one crowd. But so a trade unionist section for the march. Football, because there's fascists have been trying to build in on the football there.
Yeah.
A football one. Climate change, opposition to climate change group, Extinction Rebellion type people. Students, love music, hate racism, that sort of
they're big on the cycle, aren't they?
Yeah, so having sections of that, so that seems like a good idea. So the third proposal is there's a statement that's going to come out, which is basically inviting people for the to come to march and all that sort of stuff. So should we talk about that in terms of how we develop that sort of thing? Well, an open letter sort of. The statement is already done, isn't it?
It's done and dusted. It just needs to be circulated again. So I would suggest.
Should I read it out? Well, it's not. So should we talk about an open letter then? Yes. So. Did you want to say something about it, Stephen?
No. I think just what would probably be useful if you've got contacts and you get on with them. You could just ask them if they could sign the letter. And we get a supporting statement from key people. I'd rather get top leadership of the council, or not council, the trade unions, and the sort of racism campaigns, some supporting statements in the press.
So, in terms of people in Glasgow, I mean, they'll chase the speakers.
They'll have to be.
So, Unison is taken care of, isn't it?
I don't know.
Unison, I mean, Jim Maynard or Duncan will
Yeah.
look after
Yeah.
that, because they're kind of in
Yeah.
there. FBU, Penny was in touch with the FBU guy, but other people would have been as well, because he was invited, so, what was his name?
George Martin.
George Martin?
No. Where's George?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was, yeah, George Martin.
Also, music producer now.
George Martin, and there was also the guy who's in Edinburgh, Duncan knows.
Yeah.
Walid was his surname.
Oh, yes, well, he was one of the speakers at
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
reception, wasn't he, on
Yeah.
Saturday, yeah.
But, so do we need to worry about him? Well, no,
I would go for the top. To start.
but he might be able to get the top, you know.
Yeah, well, sorry.
As well, he's talking to,
Yeah.
RMT, who was that?
So that was George Martin.
That's George Martin,
Yeah, I think.
yeah. So, RMT, STC. Penny and me will take care of EIS. So, EIS. And I think we're a better place than anybody else when the EIS council knows and stuff. So we will take care of EIS, and we will try and get a bus from Edinburgh, because we had a bus to the march before, so ask for a bus with donations from other unions, if they can. Are you involved in any organisations that?
I've got a sort of online channel that goes out and actually covers all politics. I cover everything from left to right, and so we like to talk to people and actually highlight issues on things as well. So we cover quite a lot of things.
Are you were at the Shabazz Ali demonstration?
Yeah, up there. Yeah, so we're trying to get people's different sorts of opinions there as well, Green Party as well, so but I cover everything. We talk to the SNP, we talk to everybody, Colin Fox, so we try and ask, we're actually going to try and do an alternative question time for smaller parties so that people can express themselves both in the left and right. So it might be quite good to get some high profile speakers there if they want to actually put forward what you were discussing, which I missed on Saturday.
So is it a TV channel or?
Well, it's a YouTube channel just now. YouTube channel, yeah.
Because
So
if you wanted somebody who could explain what the march is, what stand up to racism is.
no, what we would want is probably a political figure. The two other guys who are, they're basically centrists, but they're in UKIP just now, so there'll be two from the left and trying to get Rise and Colin Fox. I know we were trying to compare and contrast that. I cover everything in politics.
Yeah.
I don't just echo chamber it. So
No, but what I'm saying is, this is specifically about, this is not about general politics.
no. This is about reason. Of course.
And
So I'm just curious there as well. It says about Stephen actually Lennon. Now, is this anti-racism covering all racism? Does this cover all racism? So racism against white people as well?
I don't see that there is much evidence of
I'm just
advantage in this country.
I'm Scotland. You talk about the country.
Well, generally.
But I'm just curious. One of the reasons that Stephen actually Lennon actually came to prominence was the mass molestation that's happening in England by.
What, Jimmy Savile?
Well, I'll talk about. No, I was talking about. I thought.
Catholic Church.
No. I thought we were talking about racism.
Protestant Church.
No. If you're talking about generic things, then
No, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about abusing young children and all that sort of stuff. Catholic Church.
No. But
Boy Scouts.
sorry, I thought this was the anti-racism thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. No. So my point.
Actually, he's a racist. He's trying to say that one particular community is responsible for these things. That's racism.
I don't understand.
He's trying to racialise an issue that affects proportionately every population in this country.
No, if that's understandable, but I'm against all racism.
Yeah.
But
you said there's racism against white people. Well, what's the evidence?
No. The only murder that has happened in the UK under the race relations sort of discrimination or racially based murder was that of Dr. Chris Lawrenson, or Chris Lawrence.
Stephen Lawrence?
Well, are you talking about Scotland if we're talking
Shepherd
UK?
Bayou?
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking
Sergeant Chin Chucker?
I'm not, but no, that's not what I said there. I said the only thing that was under...
But do you understand that black people are murdered? There are racial murders that happen against black people, Asian people.
I'm against all of that. I'm against all of that. I totally agree.
So, Stephen Lennon is a fascist who's trying to use the suffering of people, of young women who've been abused.
But that wasn't where I was. That wasn't my question. I was asking you. I was asking something specific, and you.
I'm saying.
So let me ask you.
What's the evidence?
Right.
What's the evidence of racism against whites in this country?
Well, I was going to ask you, and then you can retort to me.
There isn't any.
I've not even managed to get my question out, boss. And I'm just here.
Ask your question.
Right. So, I lived in the Middle East. Have you lived in the Middle East? Right. So I was held for 2 years without a legal ability to work or leave the country. I was allowed to starve on the streets, actually on the internet.
Yeah. That's why I said.
No. That's not what I was talking about. Can you just give me a wee bit of latitude here, and I'll explain things, and then I'll shut up. I was held for 2 years and allowed to starve on the streets. So that's not in this country, and that's not. But I've lived in a Muslim country. But when I was there, I read the Quran. Have you guys all read the Quran?
No.
Right. So I read the Quran, and the Quran has got a system of governance which is basically theocratic fascism. That's why I'm just curious about what you've got down here. The system of governance, which is a system that's set out in the Quran, is basically a totalitarian system. That's why in the Middle East there's so
Like
many...
in the Old Testament, it's really democratic. King David was elected by the people.
Was it?
No, don't be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Every single religious book is full of. What do you think?
So you're talking at me. You're talking at me, buddy. I'm not having a conversation.
There are no democratic major religions. None of the religions are.
Right, okay.
Because they were invented back in the days before democracy was operative.
No, that's not what it says, boss. It says...
Anyway, listen, we've got an anti-racist movement to build.
Right.
So can we need to get on with building.
No, I was just asking if it was quite encompassing all elements of racism. It sounds like it's not, though.
It is, because there's no racism against white people in this country.
There's no racism against white people?
No.
They have all the advantages.
But it's been a predominantly white country for years, though. That, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not...
yeah,
I mean, it's not... We're not suddenly in downtown all the issue.
If you want a job and your name sounds like a white person, you're, what was it, 50-60% more likely to... Black people don't even get interviewed. As soon as there's a foreign name, they don't even get interviewed. If you are going to be banged up in court, when you come in front of a judge for the same crime, if you're white, you're more likely to get off or whatever. If you're black, you get banged up. If you're in terms of homelessness, in terms of earnings, in terms of every single thing, it's the same for women. Women have in a disadvantaged position, and it's the same for minority groups. So white people are privileged relative to black people. So don't tell me that there's racism against whites. There isn't.
No, so...
But anyway, listen, we do need to build...
Sorry, it's just an argument.
Yeah.
No, it's not an argument. I was just asking a point.
We had a conference on Saturday.
Yeah. So let's talk
I'll give you an
about...
idea.
Let's talk about
the
the organisations that we need to get on. So we've got Unison Sorted, hopefully, FBURNT, EIS. What other unions? PCS. Could you take care of PCS?
No, I'm just curious, what's your angle on what we're doing?
I'm not going to actually hear open-minded to actually just see. I was just curious to actually find out what the guys were actually what was actually happening.
I'll do that tomorrow.
I wish I'd come Saturday. It'd be much better for me as well, because there was certain things like that. But yeah, it'd be better for me to come Saturday.
Unite,
yes. Is that anybody?
And one of the Tories are creating
Dave
this
Shepard
condition.
take care of that shortly.
Yeah, well I think he will, although, how wide are we thinking? Because if we're thinking in terms of anger,
Well, we need to have a discussion about whether we
people like
want...
Black then trying to capitalise on that, and otherwise why have to racialise things like child sexual exploitation and service oppression?
Yeah, what I was going to say is, in terms of this open letter, do we, for example, get local people, or I'm just, I
I
don't
would
know.
target people in the first couple of weeks, just because
Right.
you know.
Okay, so people at the right, right
Just
at the
big
top.
people to
Okay.
write to, because if you put it out generally,
Okay.
then you get a whole lot of
So
stuff.
in terms
We
of
just
what-
want to get some key people on the
Yeah.
start with.
So in terms of what we can do EIS and Unite and PCS probably are the ones that we could.
Yeah.
Are they all on site, are they?
And well, all the unions are STC supported. Are there any other organisations? UCU. Yeah.
So, that's what we do.
Who should we speak? Carlo.
Is most people Labour supporters?
Carlo.
No?
Carlo. Is the
Yeah,
person, isn't it?
well, he's the
No, just
chief
because
whistle.
it seems like a Labour
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
well, we've done that, but in-
Okay, well,
Labour
so-
historians played a very major part in fighting racism.
Yeah.
Along with the trade unions.
Yeah. So the only go through
What about what's the postal workers union? The CWU.
CWU,
So
yeah.
do we?
Yeah.
Have we got? Who have we got?
We must have
What's his name?
contact
That's the guy.
there.
But
Rugby, I can't remember.
There is
his
a
name.
guy who has attended our
Very,
trades
very,
council in the past from the CWU.
Very
Yeah, I
quickly
think
to
he's
the right.
based in Fife.
Oh, Gary Clark.
Yeah, that's it.
Clark.
Yeah.
Let's speak to
He's
Gary
good.
Clark. Yeah, he's very good. Gary
Can I just
Clark.
ask you,
Even Nigel Farage has
Yeah.
pushed his hand up.
Okay.
He said it's not a part of the
Okay,
city.
so CWU, Gary
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah, just send it off to them. Yeah,
There's Lockley,
Yeah.
Edinburgh Trades Council. Who else is there?
Was there any pro-refugee campaigns? Or
Yeah,
anything?
now what about the welcoming?
The welcome, they would be very happy with it.
The
So-
welcoming.
So that's all.
but what's the state that he's a fascist on it? What was the thoughts behind
What,
the fascism?
He's an ex-BNP member.
Steve, have we got-
Who founded the English Defence League, which
Yeah.
is a fascist
Yeah.
organisation.
We do need to get on with
Sorry,
fascism.
sorry,
This is
sorry,
what
Jake.
we're for.
I thought this was an open, I thought this was like an
No, it's not.
open.
It does if you read it, it says
Oh,
organising
right.
meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, right, sorry, I thought this was, sorry, I apologise, I'm trying to
No,
get
that's
on,
okay.
go
That's
on.
We have got
I'll have a chat. I'll have
It
a
was.
chat.
It was.
Sorry, I thought it was just a stand-up
Yeah.
relation general thing.
I'm quite happy to have a quick chat.
No, you what's your thing? I listen,
Do you know, it's quite useful.
Was-
One or two clarifications.
Probably, who else is there?
I can't think of anything else. We'd have to go through all the old lists of people we would need
Right.
in preparation.
Okay,
Okay.
right. So let's keep going
Right.
with that.
Was there positive action in housing?
Yeah, maybe more. You could do, or Glasgow. I mean, I would just write to them, to be honest, because nobody else is going to be writing to
Positive
them.
action. What's the red card?
Show racism.
Show racism in the red card.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's the evidence.
Show racism in the red
But-
card.
it seems like it's,
Okay.
there just seems to be a lot
What
of
else is
factors that seem to be overlooked. Well,
um,
in Islam, as I said,
so,
I read the Quran, so I know exactly what it says, but you guys said you all haven't,
Mm.
so I know exactly what it says.
what's that got to do with
I
it?
haven't read the Bible since I was
That's
in
right. What's that got to do with it?
Wait, because if you're...
Racism is not interested in the Quran.
No, but it's fascism is. It's in the
No,
system.
it's not. It's just fascist.
But
They
you've
hate
tried to-
Jews,
you've
they
tried to-
hate Muslims, they hate
Who?
Roma. Fascists do.
No, well, so does Islam.
Well, do you know, I mean,
So Islam hates Islam. I don't think so.
No, Islam hates Jews, Islam hates Christians. In fact, they hate atheists. It's
Anyway,
all in the
listen,
Quran.
Steve, let's get on with this meeting. It's important.
if you hear to...
So,
I'm not here, I'm not here.
No, if you hear to
So
This
this
is
is
wasting our
so
time.
to contact for support and
All
stuff.
stuff and
So
trying to...
what were we just
It's not
going
on
back
the-
to all these people
I
with?
don't know why you...
Steve, can we go down? Can we get
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what this guy's position is to find out...
I'm against fascism and racism, but I know that in the fact that in the Quran it's theocratic fascism. That's my point.
It doesn't really matter.
Well, you're going to
I
have...
don't understand why is it not matter. I thought we were against
Because
that. I thought
a
that's what
person
it was.
walking down the street wearing a burqa is not the Quran. A person walking down the street who has their burqa ripped off, I don't care who it is.
But who's written
You
it?
defend racist. Have you not been reading what's going on in the country?
Not written
The
it.
number of racist incidents mainly directed at Muslim women. It's more Muslim women than Muslim men.
As I said, that's the
And
Middle East
this
body.
is huge.
Well, okay, but
So
we're not
listen.
talking about the Middle East.
We're not in the
Alright, I
Middle
see,
East.
so we're not...
And we're not reading
Are
the
we in the
Quran
Middle East?
because
No,
it's
we are
got
trying to-
nothing to do
Are
with
we
it.
in the Middle East? Our government's dealing with the Middle East,
Yeah.
our so-called Christian
It's
government,
bombing.
are bombing and giving
That's
them
right.
arms and supporting dictatorships in the Middle East
Mm.
because they're getting oil.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. So still, but we're not actually in the Middle East.
Right.
We're dealing
We're not dealing with the
racism
Middle East
in
now.
this
So can we get on with this meeting? Because we've got stuff to do.
So we can't help you with that angle.
No, I'm just curious if you guys knew.
We can't help you.
It's not helping me, I'm just wondering if you're against like all fascism or if
We
it's
can see it's fascism.
I see the totalitarian groups, the leaders are all over the Middle East. You've actually correctly pointed out just there. It's got black and
Fascism isn't just like dictatorship. There's dictatorships that are right wing.
Well, that's what I'm doing the next one for. So, in other words,
They're still, they're not
Jim
actually destroy
and
every
Duncan need to discuss. I presume it's
democratic organisation. What's left in that time.
Yeah,
Fascism,
I think we should have some sort of a standard message that we send. So even if we're doing individually, we should have some frame.
Yeah.
Oh, well, totalitarian. I mean, the margin between totalitarianism and fascism, I would say, is relatively thin.
So,
I mean, would you prefer to be a fascist country or a totalitarian country?
Neither. They share some.
So that's what my point is. That's my point.
I can't concentrate.
Sorry, what's
I'm trying to figure out what this angle is.
Well,
here.
let's get on with
I'm
this meeting.
I'll shut up.
Let's get on with the meeting. So what Steve's discussing is, do we use the statement to ask people? I think we should just follow them up.
That's fine. That's fine.
Where's the statement?
No, that's
Yeah, so
fine.
the statement is there.
I'll get that, yeah. Okay.
The growth of the far right
Yeah.
last year for openly anti-Semitic parties in Poland, Hungary, fascist in German Parliament, the Austrian government, Trump in the White House, Bolsonaro in Brazil, underlines the urgency of the task. Government, Trump in the White House, Bolsonaro in Brazil, underlines the urgency of the task facing us all to build a broad-based movement against racism and fascism in Britain. The presence of Stephen Lennon, aka Tony Robinson in Scotland is alarming. The far right is feeding off an atmosphere of scapegoating of refugees and migrants. It's being exacerbated by a toxic debate around Brexit and immigration. Unity is our most important weapon. In Scotland, over the past year, we saw a shocking series of racist attacks in Edinburgh, disgusting threats to evict further asylum seekers from their homes in Glasgow. Reports recently revealing one of the biggest hotspots for far right activity is just over the border in the north east of England. We recommit to counter the far right threat and offer full solidarity to anti-racists across Britain. Doing the same, we urge you to support the call to stand up to racism, the coalition of civic organisations, refugees and migrant communities, as well as trade unions, political organisations, individuals to join the day of international protest around the EU and anti-racism. Political organisations, individuals to join the day of international protest around the EU and anti-racism day on 16th March in Glasgow. With a link, the key criteria in our opposition to the rising tide of racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism and scapegoating of refugees and migrants. We support these principles, please join us. So what we could do is we could speak to people, send them this and say, on the basis of this,
That's
and are we looking for a particular statement? Is that, I mean, are we looking at a sentence?
From key organisations.
A sentence? Yeah, a sentence.
Key organisations.
Right, okay. And we're not trying to do this generally, because it's a way of building it. Because we can have an everybody. I don't see.
We can't if you want. I mean, it's just trying to get national figures, but if you feel that you've got a way into something, then you can get a statement very quickly, and that'd be a good statement, then go for it.
Yeah, so we request supporting statement.
Yeah.
We send that the long. So we're reporting sentence, isn't it? It's a sentence for an open letter. Sentence for an open letter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Short statement, yes.
That's what we're doing.
For an open letter.
Yeah.
That's what they're for, isn't it?
No, just for publicity, so every so often we'll just put out this organisation supports the march.
Right.
And then the press release that you put out towards the end.
The end.
Have,
Takes the rest
so you don't need a huge amount.
Okay, so we're requesting supporting statements.
Key thing is to sign the statement.
Yeah.
And then you select key organisations that have done a particular reflection of work, across body of work against racism, you know, or refugee support work or something like this. And you just have, they're kind of representative of that side of the campaign, and that general, you know.
Supporting statement. Yeah, okay. So. Supporting statement. Yeah, okay. So. And it's not necessary for an open letter, but it would be towards the end. Something, yeah. Okay.
Well, the letter just needs to be signed by key organisations,
Yeah.
so we get that on the.
So in terms of what we've got responsibility for, Glasgow will do a fair amount, but EIS, PCS, ETBC, CW, because Gary Clark's actually on the other side of the country.
FBU as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And FBU, yeah. Duncan. Okay, so that's us. And in terms of other organisations, the welcoming, positive action in housing is Glasgow, isn't it? So we don't need to worry about that. Show races and red cards will be Glasgow as well.
Yeah.
So is there anyone?
At least you've got a contact with some people in Glasgow, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
Nobody else is coming in next week.
What, show races and red cards?
Well, if you've got a contact with them or something, and you've got a ring in.
Right. I'll put who then. Who? So with the request to sign the statement that we're sending them and the key organisations
One
together.
of the things about the key ones you want. You know, so
But it's no harm in taking it from whoever we speak to.
well, you're going to have to. You know, a lot of people won't get a statement because you keep that or whatever. And
Yeah.
it has to go through layers of
Yeah.
edits and stuff. So you know, you've got to half back or something.
Yeah. Okay. So what else do we need to do? Okay. So what else do we need to do? There's also trade council. Yeah. So for that we basically need to do that. It's always been the EIS that's done that year on year. But and Unison sort of bought places. So and PCS could do the same. So is that the way that we try and finance it? Because Raymond's talking about what union branches, trade councils we have to focus on for financial support. I think in a sense we're focusing on the bus and getting that done. Yeah. That's out. They need to fund the big demonstration.
Could the Edinburgh branch fund buses around money?
Edinburgh?
Yeah.
No. The money will come from the national. They'll put on a bus and you could ask if they can make a donation. Yeah. They'll put on a bus and you could ask if they can make a donation. Yeah. I don't know if they will.
Well, my sort of buses, the donation.
I know. Well, we'll talk about Penny, see what we can do. So, is there anything else around? Is there anything else around that map for now? Are there any sort of events or things that we should be thinking? Because we've got a lot of leaflets now. But it's quite early, isn't it? To be
football matches towards the end. Make it quite a big play at that, given following on from the work we've done before.
True. So should we start? So is that that's the March 16th taken care of, is it? Yeah. Okay. So should we talk about building a library? The other thing that is mentioned is how do we develop the committee? But that we don't need to worry about that. Don't need to worry about that. Okay, so in terms of building Edinburgh Suta, are we building big for the post, the SDL protest? Should we be? Yeah. For the SDL protest. Should we be? Yeah. So should we?
That's a separate organisation.
Is that your aim? Right. But shall we decide tonight that we will
Just
support
support
it?
it.
Yes.
Okay.
So Suta. So Suta. Yeah. Okay. Suta. So when is it?
March 21st.
In terms of these sort of building this thing here, there was one of the things was to find out there's not a clash with the Labour fortnightly meetings, isn't it?
I think that's obviously one consideration. So do we know when their fortnightly meetings are?
No, but I can find out. Because Mike Carey will know. So I'll speak to Mike. I'll Penny can. Yeah.
See, I'm wondering how have we gone about building so far? We put out a general email.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
just
Um,
and Steve puts it up on Facebook.
But see, what I'm thinking we should do is we should try to speak to individuals across different organisations, different partners, and we should say we're having this meeting. It's an ongoing process. We want to build this organisation locally, and therefore we want people, and therefore we want people to come to it in different organisations. Right? So we not only want them to come as individuals, we want them to raise it in the organisation, and try, almost to get a kind of delegation to come, that sort of thing. That's what I.
That's what we
So
want. Yeah.
it takes on that kind of importance.
Could I suggest? I think that doing that ties in very closely with what I was thinking about in terms of asking for donations and affiliations.
Yeah.
In the sense that the two go hand in hand, don't they? And so the question then is, do we wait until the formal funding, treasurer and all that sort of stuff is done nationally, or can we just get started on it locally? Because I can see what you're saying.
The problem is if we're asking for donations, we have somewhere for the donations to be paid to, don't we? So I think what we could start with is just saying, once we work out, what dates don't clash with anything else important, set a date and a time and say we're having this meeting, but make sure we organise it in plenty of time before.
Right.
So that we can give ourselves time to actually contact these people, and then if they don't get back to us, we can send them a reminder.
Yeah, in other words, doing it much further in advance.
I think so.
Ahead. And so we need to set the dates, and then we can do the advanced building for it.
Yeah.
Plenty of time ahead, and then time to build for it. I would like to do the two together, in a sense, because we're not going to have that many cracks of going to a meeting or you know what I mean. We started doing it, and we didn't follow it up. But what do you think, Steve, in terms of the timing? Because there's two things we need to do. One is we need to, because all the organisations that formally support us but don't actually send people along on a regular basis, I think. And I think the other thing is actually affiliations.
Yeah, I think affiliations.
And I think the two dovetail. You affiliate and you send somebody. That's the logic of it.
Well,
It's not one or the
I
other.
agree. But
And if you're going to do that, then you need to have
Yeah.
the infrastructure for the affiliation. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just a question of how we time it.
Yes,
Do you
but I
see
mean,
what I'm
is
saying?
it going to take some time to set up a place or a way for people to pay affiliation? Because it is
That
going to
is
take some
planned to
time
be,
to
when was
set
it
up.
planned for? Yeah, there's planning to set up that sort of structure.
Right. If that's coming
Relatively soon.
imminently, then we can probably wait until then.
Yeah.
I would say if it's going to be more than
Right, okay.
a couple of weeks.
So shall I'll make a note then, it will be more than a couple of weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll put in a note in talking about building links in parallel with affiliations. Yeah?
Yeah.
In which case we need the financial infrastructure. I mean, it is a barrier, isn't it? It's just, there's not a proper organised process with two treasurers and all that sort of stuff, yeah?
Yeah, that's...
So that needs to be discussed, sort of thing.
What I'm also thinking about is when we are contacting these organisations, it goes the other way as well. I'm thinking we should ask them if they want someone from Stand Up to Racism to come and address the organisation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've done it in some organisation, we did it in my unit,
Yeah.
and it went down really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So does that cover building here? separate from the large. Right. Was there anything else we needed to do? I don't think so.
Probably, yeah, probably not. I suppose that, you know, we need to keep a track on ourselves that we've done all these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we're not just letting it drift.
So what I was going to do was I was going to type this up
Yeah.
and send it off to Rainey and people in Glasgow with what we think is the way forward.
Yeah.
And I'll mention the local one as well, but because that has national implications, you need to set up this infrastructure. You need to actually forget it. And people running, they know where it's going, and who the treasurers are, all that sort of stuff. You know. Yeah. And is that us? Good. So I'll type this up and I'll circulate it to you three. Okay? Right.
Be good.
I think that's us.
I'm
Good.
expecting more of a meeting like Saturdays. I didn't realise there's an organising committee.
No,
This is a
it was-
general chit chat for the
It
day.
said that on Facebook.
I know, I probably did look at it. I was too busy thinking
That's
about
okay,
what
don't
happened on Saturday. It was going to be an interesting chat.
Saturday was
Saturday was a very, very good.
people there.
Yeah.
How many?
130.
My.
Slightly less tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah. Organising meetings are not as exciting.
No, it's
Sorry that you didn't spot that. but
yeah.
It wasn't organising.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
Right. Okay.
Fantastic, gents. Fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
So, I'm not quite sure if you got all that. I don't know what happened there. If you've managed to hear that conversation with Stand Up to Racism. I found that, let me just get you on a selfie stick here. I found that very interesting. That so many organisations have fitted into this. I mean, this is basically Stand Up to Racism, although the SNP are in it, is effectively the Labour Party group, as far as I'm aware. And I think that that was very interesting. If you've not actually listened to that, that was very interesting, the amount of groups that are involved in this. And it was very noticeable that the members there weren't interested in racism against, like, the mass molestation of Indigenous British children by Muslims. They were only interested in pushing the narrative that all ethnic minorities are victims. So the racism is basically an anti-white agenda by the Labour Party, who are pushing this narrative, and it's in connection with the trade unions, the schools. They're not even interested in what's actually happened to these children who have been molested all over England. They've already got their political narrative. So, and they're very interesting, talking about Stephen Yaxley Leonard or Tommy Robinson, who has had several death threats and calling him a fascist, saying that the English Defence League was a fascist organisation, and that Stephen or Tommy Robinson is a fascist because he was in the BNP for 6 months and he resigned because he didn't like it. So, and he was also, I think, he was in jail for punching a Nazi in the face who tried to join the English Defence League. And the English Defence League was set up because of the abuse and the terrorism by Islam in the country as a whole. So, I mean, just an incredible situation there. It's the fascism of Islam is completely ignored, and we have got, and the abuse and everything's completely ignored, and it's only racism. It's not racism against everybody. It's only racism against certain individuals, on certain ethnic minorities. But this is the situation of the Labour Party. We heard it was this stand up to racism has basically been set up by the Labour Party, Diane Abbott, who is probably one of the most racist MPs in Westminster, and she's certainly anti-white racist herself. And this organisation is set to promote the agenda of the globalist corporatists. So to let you understand, there was 100 MPs in the UK who said that they would not actually tell on illegal immigrants who were coming into the UK. Illegal immigration is happening all the time in the UK. It's been deliberately done. It's been done by the Conservatives because the Labour Party aren't in control, but it's been done by the Conservatives. The reason it's been done by the Conservatives is for cheap labour in the UK and to displace the indigenous population and allowing moves towards the one world government, and the moves towards that. I mean, it was Alex Jones has got to be given credit for actually highlighting this, because I never saw this. I mean, it's quite obvious now, actually looking at it, but there are moves towards a one world totalitarian government. As you can see, that 28 unelected commissioners are already dictating policy and legislation in Europe. So that's not a democracy. So our political class has voted for to keep us in a democracy, global migration compact, and obviously this is where I'm going with this. So the stand up to racism, positive housing discrimination, basically what they were talking about against the people that have actually paid taxes for generations. And they're talking about there's a system there for positive housing action. And I don't know what that means, and I don't know the ins and outs of that organisation, but it doesn't sound too good. It sounds like the people, and I spent 2 years in a homeless unit, in a homeless shelters, and there were people coming in who had never contributed to the UK, who weren't refugees, but because of the Barcelona process, the Union of the Mediterranean, and now the Migrant Compact, that they are all getting prioritised. And I know for a fact, because I was in a homeless unit when I came back from Dubai after being allowed to starve on the streets for 2 years. The people are getting priority who are not refugees, but the way that this is getting used, it's getting used as a refugee crisis. The people, all the men, predominantly men that are coming across the Mediterranean, and this has all been set up. Now, I don't know if, well, what's the guy's name? There was I think he was Jewish, a Jewish politician who, I think he was mixed race, and he wanted the seafood plan. I'll come back to me. And he was looking to eliminate the cultures in the UK. And this organisation, Stand Up to Racism, is just an is just a front for not the Labour Party, which they are predominantly made up. Diane Abbott is the head of Stand Up to Racism, and being an anti-white racist herself. In fact, in her constituency has nearly been ethnically cleansed of the actual indigenous population within her constituency. I think there's only like 30%, you can check it for yourselves, 30% British in her constituency left. So it's okay if the British are getting moved out, and if they complain, we've now got committees there. Not one of those guys was Scottish. There was two English guys and I think he was Irish, a guy of Irish descent. Not one of those guys in Stand Up to Racism were actually from Scotland. But what they have got is got the unions in the back pocket. The unions are now obviously backing it. Divide and conquer, exactly. So from the corporatist globalists, the imposition of people who are foreign and people who are rejecting this multiculturalism are now called racist. This made up word, because obviously it's the human race, but this is a political decision not even by the left, by the centrists, whether it be the Social Democrats or the Liberal Democrats or the Christian Democrats with the Conservative Party. This has been a political decision, and the Labour Party, who, in conjunction with the trade unions, if anybody complains about the moves towards exactly what you said, the divide and rule situation, or the what's actually happening with the mass immigration, the deliberate policy through the UN Compact, it's this magic word, a racist. And now we've got organisations. I mean, I had to laugh. Anis Anwar, who wouldn't represent me, who's on this channel, on the Guerilla TV channel, who wouldn't represent me after me being allowed to starve on the streets. I didn't see Anis Anwar getting Asia Habibi into the UK or complaining about her human rights. It seems that human rights or racism is only acceptable if it's certain people that are being picked on. If the English guy, I don't know who he was there, bald English guy, said that there's no racism against white people, which is quite clearly the mass molestation by Pakistani Muslims. He's complaining about a woman getting her hijab pulled off, and we've got mass rapes, people getting branded, children getting branded with hot irons by Muslims, and he's saying, what about Jimmy Savile? Because it doesn't fit their agenda. Doesn't fit their agenda, and that's what's happening. He doesn't want to talk about fascism. He's saying, well, fascism's not the same as totalitarianism. I said, well, there's not really much difference ideologically. There is slight difference, but not very much. And but they don't want to talk about it because it's not on their political agenda. But not one of them were Scottish anyway. Not one of them. I think 2 English guys and an Irish guy. And they're pushing this narrative, and this is a Labour Party narrative. So this is a really this is organisation, and also with the trade unions, and they're complaining about Stephen Lennon being a fascist, the EDL, while embracing an ideology that does say for them or an ideology that says for their members to kill the non-believers. I mean, it's like watching somebody stack up their funeral pyre and jumping on the actual bandwagon. And none of those guys asked every one of them if they'd read the Quran, and not one of them said they had. So they literally don't know what they literally don't know what they're talking about. And these are the guys that are standing up to racism. It's an anti-white agenda. It's a reverse racist agenda by the left and by these extremists who are basically the far left. These are the loony left that is actually standing up to racism. And it's just absolutely bonkers. I mean, just a crazy bunch of people. They don't even know what they're talking about. But they're on the agenda. And they're probably in the second grade of the agenda, because the top grade is those that want the moves towards a one world totalitarian government. Islam's totalitarian. They're talking about being anti-fascist. Somebody said that the next fascism will come in the guise of anti-fascism. These guys are the intolerant left who don't really know what they're talking about. This is it's a very worrying situation, and they're pushing it from an anti-racist agenda, which I agree. I'm not racist or dislike people who don't look like me, but they're pushing this agenda from a political agenda. I don't know what was picked up there, guys. I don't know if you heard the full conversation. I certainly wasn't wanting to pass it around, but believe me, the guys are getting organised. These guys are organised with the trade unions. So our trade unions have been infiltrated by the loony left. And are actually the extreme left is now controlling it. It must be like the mafia in New York. Our trade unions are controlled. Our workforce is controlled by the hard left in Scotland. Honestly, I swear, it's chilling. It's absolutely chilling. This is a really bad situation. Now we've got organised groups like this, Unite Against Fascism, when they're the biggest fascists I met. I couldn't get a word in edgeways. This guy's trying to cut us off, and very rude, and oh dear. So Anis Anwar won't protect my human rights. So we know the type of people that's getting involved in this organisation, and It's not a fake stand up to racism. It's not stand up to everybody or people who could be racist against white people. It's just it's a political narrative that is being pushed. Guys, hope you enjoyed that. I don't know what you picked up and what didn't. I hope you heard it, but very interesting conversation.